Hi, it's Kathy Kress again, and I am back with my YouTube series, Geriatric Care 1, and we are doing a playlist called Should You Move Your Aging Parent In With You? And I am now going to cover, we are at 6 in the playlist. How do you deal with socialization and quality of life with the older person when you move them in? And that's really critical. And you use something called the continuum of care. And if you're a geriatric care manager or studying to be one, again, in the Handbook of Geriatric Care Management, there's a whole example of this. But the continuum of care is everything that's out there in the community that you have in a database, contact database, that are activities for older people. Because part of a care plan is figuring out what the problems are, then the solutions. And a lot of the solutions are socialization. And it could be churching, it could be churches, it could be yoga, it could be exercise classes, it could be computer classes, it could be knitting groups. It could be going to the opera. And this is socialization for an older person. So what you want to do before an older person in a nearly normal family moves in with their adult children, you want to try to figure out what activities you can get them in the new living environment, because the adult child and the family cannot offer socialization. They can, around the dinner table, but most of these families work and go on trips. So what you want to do is to try to find out, if they're moving from, say they, from the same city, and they were attending activities. Can they continue to get to the old activities? Whether it be a senior center or, a knitting group. And if not, your job in a care plan is to locate similar activities that are available in a closer range near the new home, and then arrange the transportation to get them there. And this is really critical. And you can do something called a quality of life assessment, and that's, again, in this book. Nina Herndon did a fabulous chapter on this, and there's a quality of life assessment right in here, so you don't have to make this up, you can just use it. And it figures out for you what gives an older person joy. Where aging seems to, so much of it is about decrements. This is about how, joy in an older, how do you put joy in an older person's life? And so it might be food. I have had clients who, all they wanted was a hamburger. And I worked a lot with the VA and the Geri Psych ward, and I had a client who, he just wanted to get out and have a hamburger. Well, if that's what they want, then somebody, a care provider, to take them out and get the hamburger. That's joy. It might be activities, and we just talked about that, going to a senior center, going to knitting. It might be rituals. They may be interested in church or interested in celebrating, holidays, like Christmas, like Rosh Hashanah, any religious holiday in the home, because, it's almost Halloween when we're doing this. You have all sorts of decorations around. Well, maybe they want that, in their home, or they want to, if they celebrate Halloween, they want to go to a Day of the Dead festival, because they've always done that, because it is beautiful art. So you arrange how to get them there, and you don't do it on an ongoing basis, but it's a care plan so that you can set it up and the family can do it. And you can involve them in, the joy really comes from the past. There's a client who, he loved baseball. So going to baseball games, but if he couldn't, in an ambulatory sense, get to the games, watch them on television. But you have to have this quality of life assessment to ask, what gave you joy? Because very few family members really go back and do that. This is something that a geriatric care manager is really good. What was joy? And it might be knitting. And I have a great example. And you can go look on my website, kathykress.com, because there's a picture of all of my whole family and my mother-in-law and my father. It was at Christmas, and we're all together, the great-grandchildren and the grandchildren and us. And my mother-in-law, who's looking very beautiful on the stool in the picture, Becca, loved knitting, and she knitted with these really small needles and made these fabulous dresses in the 30s that now my daughter Collie, who is as little as her, now has. They're fabulous. And she developed macular degeneration and had a level of dementia. So I'm a geriatric care manager. I knew how to do this. I got her involved in the Blind Center. And because she was so adept at knitting, she got involved in weaving, and she won a blue ribbon in the Santa Cruz County Fair for the beautiful things she was doing. And they were exhibited in Palo Alto here at a beautiful senior center. And I said, to the people, why is this possible? And they said that all of that is still possible in a kind of kinesthetic way. If they would, just figure out the colors from her, she could weave these gorgeous things. So knitting was then taken, even with her decrements, into, these beautiful things. And she had such joy in it. We got them all framed. My dad, I've already used that example. Who knew that he was a Catholic? I already told you the story, but, my father, I thought I was agnostic all my life. Actually, my grandmother gave me some blue rosary beads when I was little, and they yanked them away from me. I remember that. I was so mad. I couldn't go. And yet I discovered after he had lived with me for a long time and he needed socialization, I sent him to the Presbyterian church and he came back and I'm just repeating this. Cath! Are you kidding? You didn't know I was a Catholic? No. I was an altar boy. It goes on and on and on. So I got him off to the Catholic church and he loved it because of the smells and the bells and the donuts afterwards. And got to be good friends with he knew everybody at Mass. His funeral Mass was said there. It was just wonderful. So you can re-engage people in things from their past that nobody knew. I didn't know that we were a Catholic family. I sort of knew that Becca did these great things, but I didn't know that that could be, put into weaving. So I will see you next time, and we will still be doing it. Always go to my website, kathykress.com. Check out the blog. I blog along with this, and you can see Harry and Becca.